入港行きたくないです。Hey, welcome back to All You Can Japan. It's March. The weather is finally getting warmer, cherry blossoms are starting to bloom, and it's the time of new beginnings in Japan, which basically means one thing: job hunting season. I remember last year around this time, I was also looking for a job as I neared the end of my expected graduation from a Japanese language school. And yes, as you might have heard, job hunting in Japan is quite a pain, especially if you're a foreigner and not too confident in your Japanese abilities. So if you find yourself in this situation, or not wanting to leave Japan yet, but jobless, or you just want to be prepared beforehand just in case, hear me out on how I made it through. As the expiry date of my student visa neared, I started to panic hard. Was the Japanese government going to deport me? Should I just bite the bullet and do another semester at the language school to keep my visa valid? That's when I learned about applying for the Designated Activities Visa. While some people might also call it the job hunting visa, it's not really exactly the official name. Funnily enough, even though there's a billion types of visas you can apply for to stay in Japan, job hunting does not fall under any specific category, and so it falls into the classification of specially designated activities. So let's start off by explaining what this visa does exactly. It extends your valid period of stay in Japan by half a year, and in certain cases, you can extend it to a year while you try to hunt for a job. Who's eligible for this visa? I'll link the official website from Immigration Services in the description box, but you'll be applying for Designated Activities 9, or students from overseas who have graduated from university but wish to stay to search for a job in Japan. It does get a little bit ambiguous if you read on, especially on the website, as you will then have to fall under the categories of either university students continuing their search for a job or professional training college students continuing their search for a job. So, if you're studying at a language school, you might find yourself wondering if this applies to you. For the first category, there are three main basic criteria that you must fulfill no matter what. 1. Hold a bachelor's degree or higher from a university. 2. Have proof that you actively started job hunting while you were still a student at your current school. And 3. Having graduated and being able to provide proof from your current school that you attended. For criteria number 3, it might differ from case to case depending on your school's policies, such as having to have studied there for at least a certain period, or having completed certain courses, but it's best to ask your school if you are eligible before you go through the trouble of preparing all the other documents. When should you start preparing to apply for this visa? Hopefully, you were reminded to start job hunting quite a bit before your planned graduation from your current school. Because, as Criterion 2 states, you will need to provide proof that you actively started job hunting before your graduation. So it's probably impossible to create all of that overnight. So I would say 3 months before your visa expires is the closest you can cut it. Moving on to what documents are needed for this visa. Just a heads up, there's a lot of documents needed, and you should definitely ask your school to help you out. At least, the staff at my language school went through everything thoroughly, so I did not have to go to the immigration office again to resubmit anything. In general though, I classified the documents into 2 categories: documents I could prepare by myself and documents that I needed the school to help me with. Documents that I prepared on my own were these: application form for change of status of residence, which can be found on immigration's website. 2. A copy of my passport and my passport itself. 3. A copy of my resident card and the card itself. 4. A 4x3 centimeters photograph. 5. Documentation proving the ability to cover all expenses during the time you'll be staying here while jobless. In my case, as my parents were supporting me financially, I sent in an official bank statement showing that there were enough funds in my parents' account. As such, I also handed in my birth certificate to prove that I was really my dad's daughter, and a simple signed letter by my dad saying that he was willing to support me financially. 6. A copy of my overseas university diploma last but not least, proof that you actively started job hunting before your graduation. What my language school told me and my own experience, these are examples of what counts as proof. 1. Evidence from your school of you undergoing career counseling. 2. Screenshots, emails, or other records of you attending job seminars or career events. 3. Correspondence exchanged with companies or recruiters through emails, messages, or job hunting platforms. 4. Screenshots, emails, or any other records of you applying for a job. 5. Evidence of interviews arranged and interview results from companies. In addition to all of that, it's recommended for you to create a spreadsheet for record purposes clearly stating which companies you applied to, through what platform, dates, and the current situation of your application, as well as any other events you might have attended. The numerous amounts of screenshots and emails get confusing really quickly, and this helps both you, your school, and immigration to sort everything out easier. I also created a folder on my drive and uploaded everything there, so my school and I could conveniently check everything while staying organized. You are also required to provide a translated copy of documents that are not in Japanese, so that would be things like bank statements or your university diploma. You can do that by basically putting in the translation of everything shown on the document right next to the original text. Moving on to the documents that my language school kindly helped me out with. 1. A copy of a diploma or graduation certificate proving that I completed my studies at the school. 2. A certificate of attendance proving that I actually was attending the school. 3. A letter of recommendation for me to continue my job search. 4. A document of confirmation that I have been and will be continuing to undergo career counseling and support by my school. 5. A document that the school will have to fill in, confirming that the school fulfills the requirements of the government for supporting job hunting of students. Samples of these documents can be found on immigration's website, but from my experience, I'm pretty sure the school should know exactly what they have to provide you with, and you shouldn't really need to worry too much about these documents apart from asking them to help you out. With everything said and done, when should you apply for this visa? Well, as I learned, as long as you hand in your application before the expiry date on your current visa, you are good to go. From the second you hand in your application, you get about a month or two of grace period while immigration services process your documents. So even though it's past the date stated on your residence card, as long as you've handed in the application, you're not an illegal immigrant. Yet. However, it's definitely recommended that you hand in your application earlier to avoid last-minute hiccups. But keep in mind that the half a year of extended stay starts from the day you get your new visa. So it's also not a good idea to apply too early. I'd say within a month of your student visa's expiry date is just right. With all of your documents ready, it's time to hand everything in to the immigration department. While the situation may differ depending where exactly you are located, here's a few tips in general. Go early to avoid long waiting times. Immigration will often be very busy, and if you don't want to wait for hours, try aiming for when they open early in the morning. Put everything neatly in a clear folder and add post-its to indicate which documents are which. You won't be confused as easily when checking the files, and it also speeds up the process when the staff at immigration checks your documents. Double check, triple check. Ask your school if they'll be willing to help you check everything before you go. Trust me, you want to keep the amount of visits to the Immigration Bureau to a minimum, especially if you're in Tokyo. Tokyo's Immigration Bureau, while located in Shinagawa, is actually kind of in the middle of nowhere, and signal is also not the best. It's probably better to bring a book or have offline games ready, just in case you have to wait for a long time. After handing everything in, you will get a little slip of paper that proves you handed in your visa application. Don't lose it. You need it to get your new visa when the time comes. Then, you just go home and wait for around a month for a notification postcard to come in the mail. For me, it took 25 days. If everything goes well, they'll inform you to visit immigration again, and there will be instructions on what to bring, namely your passport, your current resident card, that little slip of paper you got when handing in your application, the notification postcard, and a revenue stamp with the value indicated. And buy revenue stamps at convenience stores and post offices. But my recommendation is to buy it at the convenience stores near immigration office, as they are quite small and it's very easy to lose it. They might also ask you to bring some extra documents if needed, so prepare accordingly. Once you get the postcard, congratulations! You're so close to getting this process done. Bring all the aforementioned items to immigration, and you should be able to get your brand new shiny resident card the same day with a brand new visa status. Some other questions that I had that you might have as well. Can I call immigration to check the status of my application? Technically, yes. You can try to call them, but it doesn't really help to speed up the process of your application. The only time it might help is if it's nearing 2 months since you handed in your application and you have heard absolutely nothing back. You are better off just patiently waiting for the first month and a half. After I get my designated activities visa, can I travel out of the country? While you are supposed to be actively job hunting on that visa, yes, you can travel abroad and come back if needed. If I am still unable to find a job within the valid period of the new visa, what happens? You can apply for extension again, and probably make sure you have plenty of evidence that you have been really working hard and proactively looking for jobs. However, I also know people who have had their visa extension application rejected, so I guess applying for the second round gets exponentially harder. Can I work while on this designated activities visa? Like when you were a student, as long as you also hand in the permission to engage in activities other than that permitted under the status of residence previously granted, or shikakugai katsudo kyoka form, you can still work part-time for up to 28 hours a week. So, there you have it, my experience of applying for Japan's job hunting visa. Paperwork is always a headache in Japan, but it's something you can't really escape from, and hopefully you found all of the above information useful. If you're looking for a job or planning to apply for this visa, I wish you the best of luck. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments down below. Remember to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and see you next time!